Hello and welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review time. Today we've got Academy's latest release. This is a brand new tooled 1/48 scale A-10C. Now, there's a little bit of debate going on around here because people are saying about obviously the Hobby Boss one, which is basically been the kit for an A-10A for, well, forever, since it got released. Because let's face it, your other options, the Italeri one is, yeah, painful. Tamiya? Okay. So anyway, we have needed new tooled A-10C. Now, the Hobby Boss one, to be honest, I'm quite a fan of. I've built quite a few of them, and I've upgraded it to the C in the past as well. I know a lot of people have said is that, you know, technically the kit's just an upgrade of the C. Well, the A-10C is just an upgrade in real life of the A. So there's not too much externally going on differently. A lot of it's more internal and communications and sensors and things like that down in there. So consequently, it's quite nice, though, to see a new one. But don't be dismissive of these other ones. We are expecting another one down the line as well, of the three, if you like, the trio of these kits. And that's Great Wall Hobbies one, which we haven't seen yet. But again, that's going to be one to look out for. And I can assure you it's going to be a lot more money than this one, which is a bit more money than the Hobby Boss one. Anyway, we're getting confused there. We've probably got some of the quite boring box art. It's great to see the aircraft there, don't get me wrong, but just having the Academy logo, we've got no like A-10C or, you know, of actually what it is. It's on the side. I just thought we'd like to see it on there a little bit. Anyway, as we can see, we've got this one down in here from the old Flying Tigers. Very nice it is too, giving you a look at what you're actually going to get in the box. All right, we've got it around here. So your kit number for this one is 12348. And then again, got your colour call-outs and all your bits and pieces down in there. So, in the box, we are greeted by a little bit of a trepidation with this, to be honest. We've got clear parts, pretty much standard. Nice to see we've got a full frame around that. We'll look at that properly in a moment. We've got underneath the fuselage down in there, we've got end intakes as well. We've got some Mavericks. We've got the insides of the engines, some of the other bits and pieces like that, quite nicely detailed. We've got down in here, looks like these are slide moulded, which is very nice as well. We've also got slide moulded nacelles. It's probably the one time you don't need slide moulded nacelles, but hey ho, they're in there anyway. Yeah. We've got another bag down in here, so we've got one travel fuel tank as well. We've got one cockpit tub down in here, some nice details, pretty much everything we're expecting down in there, so that looks pretty nice as well. Then on to the big old bits. So down in here, I'd say we've got the wings, which don't look too bad. We seem to be missing a bit of, oh no, we've got a little bit of riveting in there. And then we've got the other bits and pieces underneath. And then down in here, we've got your decal sheet, which is very comprehensive, looks very nice indeed. A little bit more blurb, let's get rid of that. And of course, we've got the book. So it looks like we've got a correction down in here as well of how this actually is. So, oh, this is manual 2. Oh, so we get manual 1 and manual 2. Okay, right. Well, look, we'll start with manual 1 and then we'll work our way over. So, down in here, oh, you forget about how they do the old pull-outs with these. Very 1990s. Anyway, really nice details you see. We're starting underneath here in the front wheel well area, everywhere underneath. So it's the gun as well down underneath this section down in here. So we've got all the parts being fitted and put down in there. The nose wheel is offset one side to make way for the gun. All right, so that's down in there as well. And then obviously it's saying here about a masking set. So I don't know if we got a mast set somewhere. I'll have to have a look for that in a minute. That'd be quite nice. We've got the seat as well, so you've got standard Aces ejector seat down in there, and then obviously we've got our stick being fitted down into this one. We've got details as well. Looks like they're decals as well for the actual sides, although looking at it just then, look like it's quite nicely detailed. Then obviously we've got the newer panel. So obviously on the front here, we've got two big screens instead of the old fashioned one as well. So that's quite nice. That's down in there. So cockpit tub being fitted down into this one. And it is like a tub system in the middle. And then you obviously got the side bracing it across. All right. So it is going to be sort of front and rear ends together. All right. So that's down in there. Then we've got the underside. So the wheel's actually going to fit right through that one. A couple of bits and pieces. All right. Down on there. We've got this barring at the back, which actually should hopefully, if that fits in there nicely, give you a nice sort of plug fit down into that one. So forward fuselage goes onto that rear one-piece slide molded one. We've got a figure as well that goes down in there. Then we've got these forward sort of strakes just down at the front there, and then obviously we've got some pylons for the 3 that run along the centre of the fuselage. Then we're over to the wings. So over in the wing section, usual thing, same as pretty much all the other A-10s as well. Speed brakes will be able to be shown sort of open or closed. So you've got an option down in there as well. Engine nacelle system as well. We're putting some details down into there. And then obviously we've got the flaps being fitted down on the back. And then these nacelles, which have basically got the gear into them and all the rest of it just fitted down in there. Some nice touches of bits and pieces down in that one. Doesn't look like we get a refueling deck on the front of it though. Then we've actually got the pods. So it looks like it's a standard lantern type pod down under here as well. It's talking about putting in. Then we've got a J-dam being fitted. We've got some sidewinders, and then the pylons obviously being fitted down here onto the outer wing system. And then obviously we've got the main gear as well being fitted onto this one. So it's actually showing about J-dam, the lightning pod, and then obviously a couple of sidewinders. And again, it's talking about there is mast sets as well for the wheels, which is quite a nice touch. Over onto the other side as well, exactly the same is going to be repeated, apart from we've got the refueling receptacle, which is down here at the front as well on the nose, so you could have that open to show that one off right the way through, so that's a nice touch. We've got the longer broad channel jammer pod as well. We've got some rockets, which could be smoke or illumination, whatever you want to do. We've got a Maverick, and then obviously main gear fitting down as well. So it's sort of got that sort of modern load out, this one carrying a Maverick and a J-dam, some rockets as well. So we've got that type of situation. More of the pylons being fitted, and then obviously we've got the wings are going to be plugged in, but it looks like a funny way that's going to plug in. I would have been hoping for some, you know, perhaps wing spars going across to slide those in. Doesn't look like we're going to get those. So anyway, that one shows in there like that. So that's manual 1 done. Then we're over to manual 2. So down in here, it then goes on to say about this is going to pull out one with a shawl. Hoping so. It's a little bit all over the place, this. All right. So anyway, down in here, it's talking about putting the front on. So we don't get any gun at all. So one of the nice touches with the Hobby Boss one, you got the full gun, everything. So you can actually have that displayed separately, and then you had 2 barrels basically just poke out the front. We don't get that. We've got the old pave penny sight. Again, it's, you know, it's one of those things. Technically they don't carry it anymore, but they did during the transfer over. But if you did, you could do that one. Then obviously we've got the tails being fitted down in there, tailplanes on the back, horizontal stabilizers being fitted down in there. It's carrying a travel tank. Occasionally they do, I suppose. And then at the rear here, we've got the sensors on the back, various bits and pieces. The engine, which is one of the things I would have said you don't need to have as slide molded, they've decided to do it, which is a little bit weird because you've got giant doors on here so that you can show off the engine. Again, you don't get any choice for doing that on this particular kit either. Again, nice little touch down in here. We've got a mast set, which includes the mast set as well if you wanted to for the clear parts, it looks like. So that's actually quite nice. And then the canopy set is being fitted down. Again, it's got that nice broad fin area. So I don't know if you could, but you could, as it does in the real life, hinge forward. I don't know if they've got that option down in there. Boarding ladder being fitted, and then obviously we've got open or close if you did want it for that refueling receptacle on there, just like that. Next over, obviously we've got the decal placement right the way through, as you might imagine. There we've got a couple of reference photos as well, showing you some of the details down in there, and then obviously the walkway markings and colour call-outs just down in like that one. And then a little bit further on down in here, you've got some of the other options as well. Quite nice. It's got a replacement type tail onto it. So that's actually a nice one. So yes, very nice indeed. All right. Okay. So you've got a huge big, let me just pop them out of the way, decal sheet. So again, nice touches with this one all the way through. I have to say again, it's just getting probably a little bit picky. I was just hopeful. You know what it's like when you're into a model and you're into that particular type and you know it very well, you're sort of hopeful that it's going to be, you know, maybe a little bit better than what you're seeing. And this is one of those. So it's got quite a basic just down in here. It's everything as you would expect, but it's just a little bit basic. And again, we've got all the markings, as you can see, famous sort of, you know, with the shark's mouth, all the different things. You've got your walkways down in here. Over here, you've got your flare and chaff buckets. Again, so you've got your options down in there, just like that. This is our mask set. I don't know if you can quite see it, but it is die cut. So that's actually a very nice touch to get that in there as well. All right, so what we'll try and do is just slip this back in here. I can get it in. There we go. So yeah, comprehensive decal sheet with that one. All right. So where are we going to start? Where are we going to start? Let's have a look in the slide molded bits. So get in here. Again, so you've got 3 bits down in here. So starting off with this fuselage section, the rear fuselage. Now the thing is, the A-10, because it's obviously of its age now, has got various strengthening panels which have been very nicely recreated. It's got a nice mixture of raised and, as you can hear, recessed panel lines on this right the way through. So it has got the strengthening things and the bits in there. But weirdly enough, for something that's slide molded, there's a center seam running right the way through this, which technically wouldn't be there. But that's not a biggie to get rid of. That's going to be quite straightforward. All right, but down the back end here, it's got lovely raised rivets. And one of the biggest problems you've got, and I've done it with all of them, is that when you come down to here and things like up here, you've got to put all the raised rivets back in. Because it's actually like this, no problem at all. So this will be a scrape clean job for this center seam, and then you're good to go. As you can see, the underside's quite complex with these. There's lots of detail gone in over the years. So you've got all of that down in there. So that's not too bad. Again, strange way of doing the engine nacelles, but they are all here. But in reality is these open up to be huge doors, and in every other kit of the A10 you can have them open to expose the engine. Again, they've taken the time to make this a slide molded kit, and unfortunately it means you don't get the option to open it up anymore, or if you do, you're going to have to cut it yourself. Once again, even though it's slide molded, you have got a seam line running right the way through here, which you're going to have to take care of. Which, in my point, isn't that sort of wasting the time? Because by the time you've taken that out, you've ruined all the decal, the raised rivets down the back here anyway. Yeah, it's a little bit one of those areas I'm like, why would you do that? But beautiful detail underneath with the strengtheners, all down in here and all the rest of it. So that's very, very nice indeed. Then we've got the nose, and we've got the sensors all on here for the nose. And as you can see, running around on here, we've got the gun. So you can see. But again, it's a little bit simplistic. There is aftermarket ones you can go down and get those ones. And again, we've got the clear sprue down in there for the HUD. All right, so that's quite nice done like that. Okay, so if we start down in here on the wings. So we can just get that one off. So as you can see, she's a big old bird, the A10. Some nice details down on here, and actually when you get past the plastic and have a proper look, it is very, very nicely done. So we do have riveting detail. We've got all the panel lines running down in here. It looks actually very, very nice indeed, and some very nice touches to boot with the level of detail. So as you can see on the wing, we've obviously got the main gear wells, very nicely done. But again, some really nice, very fine riveting detail running right the way through these. We'll try and catch it in the light. All the way in there, so that's very nice indeed. We've got the flaps, we've got these forward slats that pop out the front at low speed. We've got the one on the other side, and again, tops of the wings, very, very nice indeed. We've got the engine nacelle intake just down in there. We've got that pave penny sight over here. We've got the bottoms. I think these are all the flaps as well, and you can see nice riveting detail in those as well. Another nice touch as well over here on the front of the nacelles. We've got these areas coming up here where the tyre goes, and again with the strengthening. So that's actually very, very nice indeed with all of those. And then over on this one, we've got the tails. And again, the detail of this one is fantastic because it's raised details right the way through. And again, you've got the strengthening straps and all the various things you'd want actually on an A10 now. So we're getting there now. You can see they're strengthening straps, various things. We've got the GPS antenna. This is the area behind the cockpit. And again, it's all raised rivets. We've got the refueling receptacle just down in here at the front. This is this plug system you can see just down in here for the forward and rear fuselages to go together. And again, nice detail down in here on the actual which technically is the ailerons, but it's also the spoilers. Bottoms and the nacelles, obviously down in here, you're going to put those decals on. So they're just molded as in flat, so you can put those on. And again, these little areas down in here for having the speed brakes open from the actual ailerons, nice detail with those as well. So again, Very nice. On the blind side, I can't really see any sink marks that I've noticed yet or anything else like that. It just looks very nice. My only downside when we're talking of ejector pin marks is this, because obviously if you've got the speed brakes open, you've now got all of these. So why they feel the need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ejector pin marks on the back of every single one of these is a little bit of a letdown. It's not so bad on this one, but when you're over here, these are actually quite deep. So you're going to have to get in there with the old filler to take care of that, because otherwise if you've got them open, you're going to see, unless, no, forget that, I'm talking rubbish. These are going to be inlaid. So I assume what's going to happen is these ones over here are going to have these ones inside them. So yes, it's okay. I think we're okay. Scrap that, what I've just said, it'll be absolutely fine. You're going to have parts inside these which will hide these. But interesting way of doing it, I must admit. But again, tailplanes, it's one-piece rudders, but you can probably see the linkages up on here as well. Nicely recreated, and it's all raised rivets on here as well. Bit of a nightmare if you like doing your washes now, because everyone's getting very creative with raised rivets. But again, very, very nicely detailed all the way through on this one. Okay, so over in here, bag, very tight bag. Again, we've got the forward fuselage, cockpit, all the lumps and bumps and details right the way through. Ejector seat looks very, very nice. All right, so if we start at the top here at the front. So there we go, very nice indeed, which is correct over here. So we've got the bolts. So technically now what they've done is just put the bolts back in from the pave penny area. So that's actually very, very nicely done as well. Obviously back in the day when I did mine, we had all of this cut open with all the electronics showing and everything else like that. It is quite detailed, all that entire area inside there. So it'd be nice if somebody came along and did the aftermarket trick. We've got the wheels, we've got the pylons. Again, pylons, beautiful mix of raised and recessed details all the way through. We've got the main gear. This is the nose gear just over here. Again, really very nicely done. We've got on the top of that wheel well section, the various parts all the way through. It is lovely to see all this lovely raised detail. I just don't know how you're going to go about weathering it. The seat as well, again, it's one of those, it looks really basic on the instructions. That's a very, very nicely detailed seat. Good mixture, raised, recessed details right the way through with that one. That would be absolutely fine as is pretty much everywhere. The cockpit tub itself, again, I can be an anorak down in here. Doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Pretty good, even though we've even got the radio set down in here as well, which looks nice as well. So that's very, very nice indeed. So again, it's one of those strange things. It's got the throttle of a F-15E, and the flight stick from it is from an F-16. So yeah, you've certainly got a bit of a mix match going in with the modern A-10. But again, looks very, very nicely detailed. Nice job as well. We've got one ejector pin just over here on this one for the actual nose gear, but the main gear's got no ejector pins in that area at all. We've got a slight sink mark and slight ejector pins just down in here. There's a little bit of a sink mark on the pylons, and there's a couple of ejector pins in there, which is a bit unfortunate to see. But generally, very nice indeed. So then over here, we've got the actual main travel tank. And again, it's a bit weird how this kit is, because it's almost like a bit of a mismatch. Because if you look at the picture, it's got a sniper pod on it, which is, you know, the modern version. It's what they carry, but it's got the pave penny sight on it. Whereas actually, if it had the pave penny and obviously the lantern pod, which is the older one, it'd be correct. So there's a little bit of a mismatch going down in here, but there we go. It looks like we get both, which I didn't notice in the instructions. So down in here on the front here, this is actually the sniper pod. And then this over here on the front is actually the lantern pod. So very, very nice that you do get both options with those ones. Interesting, very, very interesting the way they've done it. So yes, different way. Okay, so last up over here, we've got obviously a pairing for the engines. and such areas. So first of all, we'll start here. What's that? That's an arm. Oh my God, he's lost his arm. We'll have a look at that in a moment. So down in here, we've got the tail. So that's the tail. That's the cockpit with a new shroud over the front. We've got the new instrument panel. It looks, it's the correct stick as well, so that's very nice as well. The underside of the wheel well, obviously that's the roof area. Again, tiny little ejector pins on the doors. Real shame it's got that. But the rest of that's actually really, really nice. Nice cockpit detail on there. The instrument panel is a lot better than the tub. So very nice with that one. And then over here, we've actually got the underside. And again, really nice access panels. Very nice mixture of raised and recessed details right the way through there. Very, very nice indeed. And then I've got to keep his arm safe. We've got a match pair of these. So down in here, we've actually got all the parts for the weaponry. We've got a laser guided bomb. We've got weight on wheels, which is nice. The fan blades are a little bit flat. Rocket pods showing you with loaded or empty rounds as well. It's actually not looking too bad. So we've got visor up and down on the pilot figure. Obviously his arms come off. There's his other arm. His body doesn't look too bad. A little bit softly molded maybe. Sidewinder looks very nice indeed. We've got the laser guided bomb. Looks pretty nice. 2 parts Maverick. Sway braces all down the bottom here. All looking very nice indeed. Again, it's a shame because it would be nice if you could see this because you can detail up the engines, but the actual exhaust looks pretty good down in there. The wheels look very nice as well. So again, we've got a MOSFET for this, which is quite handy. So the blades look just a little bit flat. It would be nice if they were a little bit more 3D. Over here as well, as we were saying, we've got rockets. So we've got them with them and without. Tails of the rockets. We've got a small JDAM down in there. And then obviously we've got the intake, the exhaust area down in here with the rear fan. Doesn't look too bad at all. So yeah, very nice. Okay, last up we've got the clear part. So clear parts, very, very nice. There is a faint center seam, but in some ways with the A-10 you can actually get away with it. There is actually an area that travels up behind the pilot, like a banding, which is an aerial, and then there's a new like spotty thing on the top. Looks like a colander up there as well. So again, you could hide away all of that, no problem at all. The forward one looks very nice, good, solid, chunky bit down in there, totally crystal clear. To be honest, really, really nice clear parts, no problem. Then down on here again, we've got the lantern sensor and we've got a sniper sensor down in here, so that's very nice. And obviously we've got the lenses for the various missiles and bits and pieces and landing lights. And there we have it. Interesting kit. I tell you what, when you look at the box art, it's not inspiring. And when you look at the, the actual instructions, they're not brilliant either. The kit itself has got lots going for it. It's one of those kits where you need to take your time and work your way around it to really embrace all the detail it's got. What this kit has got that nobody else has done thus far anyway is a beautiful mixture of raised and recessed details. It's got all the strengthening plates. It's got all the modernized A-10 since they've had the new wing spars and all the rest of it put in to sort of, to give it a few more years. It's got all of that detail down into there. The cockpit instrument panel is beautiful, but the rest of it is just a little bit, nothing really going on there. So again, it's a little bit odd. It talks about putting the sniper pod, doesn't talk about the sniper pod in there, the instructions, but it's there. So if you did want to make it properly up to date, then that's what you're going to put onto it. And again, the weapons loadout it's carrying, I know it's probably very much sort of a loiter loadout, as I'd call it. But again, there's not a lot going on. You get one Maverick, you've got one laser guided bomb, one JDAM as well, some rockets, but you've got 2 sidewinders, which is overkill for that environment as well. So again, a little bit odd of how they come about some of the things with this one, because normally Academy are pretty darn good at it and they're pretty accurate at getting it right. So again, it's one of those things, just have a check with your references, have a feel about how you're going with it and you'll be fine. The only disappointment for me really in this kit is you don't get the gun. You just get the barrel and that's it. Where obviously the Hobby Boss one, you get the full length gun, you can have a stand for it, you can display it in or out of the model. It really does make it as well. So there's something just a little bit missing from that one. What I would say is when you put the ladder on, don't have it hanging off at 45 degrees. It doesn't. It's like 10 degrees going downwards, and it will go. I don't know if it's a problem with the kit, but every time I've seen one of these built now, everybody has the ladder hanging out at 45 degrees, and it looks funny. So just make sure the ladder goes almost down, and that way you'll be fine. But anyway, that's just me being picky. I think actually, now I've had a look at this kit, for the price you're talking about with this particular kit as well, and let me just check with our very own PM models. So we've currently got this one up there now for 40 quid. I would say for 40 quid, go out and buy it. It's an absolute gorgeous kit. I can assure you when the Great War Hobbies one comes along, it's probably going to be a better kit. Overall, it might come with a gun. It'll probably have a lot more with it, but you're going to pay a hell of a lot more for it. So if you've got some weapons in your spares box, things like that, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just me being picky. But I think for 40 quid, this one has to be an absolute must.